Hi, I'm John Moncrief with Digital Tutors, a Pluralsight company. And in this quick start lesson for Houdini, we're going to learn how to shatter a sphere using the shelf tools. It's really quite simple, so let's go ahead and get started. First, I need to create the sphere that I want to shatter. In order to do that, I'm going to come over to the Create tab and Control-click on Sphere. Now, by holding down Control when I click, it allows Houdini to create the sphere directly at the center of the scene. Now, I want my sphere to be able to fall a distance prior to hitting the ground, so I need to raise it up. You'll see as I raise it up here in the viewport that over here in the parameters view, you can see the change real time in the value of where the sphere is positioned. Let's go ahead and position it at approximately 5 world units higher than the ground. So to do that, I'll select this value and just tap 5 and hit enter. Now it appears that the ball may have disappeared, however it really hasn't. It's just moved outside of the view of the camera. So we know that we can come over to this toolbar on the far left hand side here and click on this camera icon to enact the view tool. However, there's a shortcut for doing it as well. You can hold down the space bar. Now when I hold the space bar, a couple of things happen that are worth noting. Number one, the camera icon highlights. And also, when I hold it down, I get the information here in the bottom of the viewport that tells me exactly what I need to do to tumble around and view. So I'm going to zoom out, pan around just a little bit. And here you can see that we now see our sphere located in the top of the scene. The second thing that we need to do is create something for the sphere to be able to collide with. For this, I'm going to use the standard ground plane in the Rigid Body Shelf tool. So to create the ground plane, again, I'm going to hold down Control and click on the ground plane icon. This will allow Houdini to create a ground plane for the ball to collide with and shatter. Now, if we just hit play on our timeline right now, nothing's going to happen. And that's because we haven't told Houdini that the ball is actually going to be an object for rigid body dynamics to control. That's the dynamics engine that Houdini is using right now. So in order to be able to tell Houdini, yes, I want this sphere that I created to be a part of a simulation, we use this tool called the RBD Object Shelf tool. So the first thing you need to do is highlight your sphere and then click on RBD Object. Now, to make sure that that change was made, I'm going to use my network view to sort of explore around in my scene. So what I'm going to do is come over to this Auto DOP network. Now, auto simply means that it was automatically created by the shelf. DOP simply means that it is a dynamics operator. And network just tells us exactly what it is. It's a dynamics operators network. So we can double click on this container and it will lead us inside so that we can see a little bit deeper what's happening. Now when you first look around here, it does seem to be a little bit jumbled and confused. One of the handiest shortcuts that you'll probably use is that if you have your mouse hovering over the network view here, tap L on your keyboard and it will lay out the nodes so that nothing is overlapping and you can see a lot easier what the names of the items are and kind of know what you're looking for. So we have our sphere object here and it has been brought into this dynamics operators network. So let's go ahead and play back our timeline and see what happens. To do that, I'll use this icon on the lower left-hand side of the screen that looks like a little play button. Well, I click play and all the ball does really is fall to the ground and tilt just a little bit. And the timing looks a little bit off as well. Well, the reason for the timing being off is because it's a fairly simple simulation, and Houdini is able to calculate it and present the results of that calculation to the viewport much faster than real time. We need to tell Houdini to slow down just a little bit and present this to us at a pace that looks natural. In order to do that, I'm going to use this icon on the far right-hand side of the timeline that looks like a little clock. And if you just hover your mouse over the icon for a second, you'll get a little pop-up that'll tell you this is the real-time toggle. So I'm going to click on that, make sure that it's highlighted in this sort of golden color. Rewind my timeline and play it back. Now you can see that the ball falls a little bit slower and that the timeline is moving at a pace that's much more realistic. I'm going to stop, rewind my timeline, And notice another problem here, that the ball isn't actually shattering at all. It's simply hitting the ground and stopping. And like I said, it rolls over just a little bit to the side, but it's not really entertaining yet. In order to make this ball something that is breakable, we need to use this Make Breakable Shelf tool. So in my network view, I want to make sure that I have this Sphere Object 1 selected. We'll just select it. You'll see this little golden highlight pop up around it. And then I'm going to click Make Breakable. Okay, now I have it selected. I've done my Make Breakable, and my instructions say select the RBD objects to make breakable and press Enter to complete. This is really handy. Houdini gives you this little set of instructions in the bottom part of the viewport on almost every shelf tool that you use. So I've done the first piece. I've initiated the tool. I selected what I want, and now I press Enter to complete. When I do, you'll see that Houdini has added a new node for me over here inside of my network view called Fracture Parms. With that change made, let's rewind our timeline and see what our results look like. There we go. Now we're getting our sphere to actually fracture as if it was made of porcelain or rock. We can stop the timeline and rewind and click play again. And there you go. Your very first dynamic simulation inside of Houdini. I hope this lesson has been helpful for you, and I encourage you to explore all of the great creative content training that Pluralsight has to offer at digitaltutors.com.